Uh, I, Rajatwani, Assistant Director GJPC, welcomes all of you on behalf of Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council to this futuristic technology. As a series, we had a traceability webinar last month, and from an exponential and unprecedented response we got from the industry. We thank for industry for that, and we also thank Mr. David for sparing some time with for us and enlightening the members on their another futuristic technology, which is grading at source. This technology is certainly going to change the way industry is doing the grading right now, and I am sure that the audience is going to take a good chunk of knowledge from this webinar. Before taking much time, I would like Mr. Dinesh Navadia, Regional Chairman Gujarat, to say a few words about this webinar and his experience with this series.
Hi, I Dinesh Navadia, Regional Chairman Gujarat GGEPC. First off, I welcome Mr. David Block, CEO Serene Group, and all the entities from the industry. GGEPC had provisions organized a webinar on traceability in May 2021, which was very well appreciated by the diamond and jewelry industry. GGEPC begins one more webinar for the stakeholder of gems and jewelry industry under the series of Uncut. Grading and source will help the diamond manufacturing 7 time and cost with engineering concentrated in grading resulting in higher productivity. We are privileged to have Serene Technology is our technology partner to guide us on the need and importance of the grading and source in diamond manufacturing. I hope this webinar will be very useful for all the stakeholders of gems and jewelry industry of the India. Once again, I welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dinesh bhai. Diamond grading is undergoing a silent revolution and developed ability to accurately grade polished diamonds using artificial intelligence based technology instead using traditional grading. And the significant jump has been taken in terms of technology from different various stakeholders like Serene and other players. We are fortunate to have Mr. David Block, CEO Serene, with us to guide us and enlighten us on this latest and futuristic technology. Mr. David has over 20 years of experience, and he has played an instrumental role in initiation, development, and introduction of many of the revolutionary innovations the group has brought to the diamond industry. Mr. David may not need any detailed introduction as such. So without taking more time, first I would like to invite Mr. David. First, I would like to the audience to go through one small video which depicts the technology. Mr. Malcolm, if you can please go through the video.
We live in an age where change is happening faster than anyone could have imagined. More amazing is how fast the new is becoming the new normal. Artificial intelligence is making our life better, safer, and more efficient. In the world of diamonds, Serene was the first company to bring AI to 4C's grading, providing unprecedented consistency and giving consumers absolute confidence in their diamond. But the truth is, we're only just warming up.
As we begin the new decade, Serene is about to change diamond grading beyond recognition. With an approach that marries AI, machine learning and big data to deliver E-grading. E-grading will empower diamond retailers with exciting new possibilities like never before. Bringing the precise diamonds you need, exactly when you need them. Expanding diamond evaluation possibilities far beyond the 4 Cs. Reducing costs. Streamlining diamond sourcing. Accelerating time to market. Supporting true personalization. A fascinating new era of E-grading is on its way. We'll meet you there.
This is the diamond industry reimagined.
Thanks a lot, Malcolm. One of the lessons we have learned during this pandemic that technology is inevitable. We have to, adopt the new technologies and the way forward so that nothing can stop us from achieving the best in the world. I would like to invite Mr. David Block to please enlighten our audience with your knowledge.
Hi. So first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you to the GJEPC for the opportunity, and Dinesh Bhai for the warm introduction. Serene has been involved in diamond grading technology for the past few years, but we are now reaching the stage that this will start becoming very, very relevant for the diamond manufacturer and the polish supplier. And therefore, we thought it was very important to start explaining how this new technology is going to create a revolution in diamond grading, and actually how that will not only benefit the retailer, but benefit the supply side as well. And I think that's, as someone who's been involved very deeply in the Indian diamond industry for the last 20 plus years, we understand the supply chain that starts with the diamond manufacturer in India very, very well. And it was very important to us as part of the solution to be able to add value to the entire pipeline and not just the end point of the retail.
Thank you, Mr. David. Yes, it's true. Basically, I would like to start from the very basic question, because right now we have been following in Surat or in Mumbai or in any corner of world, we are following the traditional way of grading. We either do the grading manually in the office or at the manufacturer level, and by the thumb rules which we have been following from the years, or we send it to the labs for certification, etc. But when we hear a word e-grading, it's something new for us. So I would like to start from a very basic question: is what exactly is e-grading?
Okay, so e-grading is first and foremost the ability to grade polished diamonds using technology. So that's the basis for e-grading. Serene has developed over the past years a number of different technologies that enables us to grade the different parameters of the diamond. Over 30 or nearly 30 years ago, we first introduced technology that can grade cut and has been used for the last over 25 years, whether it's at the diamond factories, wholesalers, grading labs, and so onwards. And over the past few years, we've been developing technologies to grade color and clarity, as well as a number of other parameters. So first of all, e-grading is technology that is able to grade polished diamonds accurately and consistently. But it doesn't end over there. Over the last 2 years, we've had this technology in our grading labs. We've been using it with our clients. We've been testing it. We've been improving it. And we believe that we're ready for the next stage. The next stage is moving that technology from the four walls of a grading lab to our clients' factories or our clients' offices, And this may sound like a very small step, but it's actually a huge revolution. Because rather than having to send diamonds for grading at a grading lab, it will then be possible to grade those diamonds in-house, or as you mentioned, grade it in the source, using advanced technology, very accurately, very repeatably, without the need to send it to a grading lab. And as all of you know, there are a huge amount of effort and time and costs involved in sending diamonds back and forth to a grading lab. So that's the very basis. We're talking about A, technology, base grading, and B, the ability to do that in the comfort of your own home.
That's good to know. See, from the very basic background which I've gone through this e-grading concept, it is more likely to be beneficial to retailer. What is your point of view on this? How is it going to be beneficial to midstream suppliers or manufacturers, or is it concentrated from point of view of retailers only?
So no doubt there is a lot of different benefits to the retailer, but I think today it's more important to focus on the benefits for the midstream. That's most of the listeners today are from the midstream manufacturers or polished suppliers. And I'd like to focus, I think, on the benefits for the midstream. As I said, there are a lot of benefits for the retailers, but I think we'll focus on the midstream. So as I mentioned, when you want to grade a diamond today, generally the process starts at the factory or at the offices that you actually do the internal grading before it's sent to a grading lab. That takes a lot of time. You've got a lot of people involved in that process. And after that process is finished, you now send the diamond to a grading lab. You need to ship it over there. You have the time that it takes to get to the grading lab, the cost of the shipping, the insurance of the diamonds, the cost of your capital, the cost of money. Today, diamond grading takes 1 month, 1.5 months, sometimes 2 months because of the current situation. So it's a long period of time that you cannot sell your polished diamonds. And then you get the diamond back, and you can now start utilizing. You can sell that diamond using the grading report. So there's a lot of time, a lot of expenses that are involved in order to do that grading process. Now with e-grading, I think that you will be able to have technology in-house. Save on the time that it takes to ship the diamond, the expenses that are surrounding that sending that diamond to the grading lab, getting it prepared to send to the grading lab, shipping it, and so onwards. And not only that, you can set your own priorities. So if you want to get grading done for certain goods that your customer wants tomorrow or next week, you can put that in priority. And as I said, mainly save very dramatically on time and cost. And that's one of, I think, the biggest advantages for the midstream. When we're able to continue grading diamonds very accurately, consistently, but do it with without all the additional overhead that is involved in sending it to a grading lab.
I think that's a very huge benefit, that you can prioritize your grading as per your sales schedule or the way you want to sell. I think that's going to really attract the manufacturers. However, I would like to know, David, that there are set standards in each company by which they do grading, and many a times the grading results differ as per the standards set by the internal company or by the labs. Sometimes perception also plays the role, and the grading minor changes may happen between the one grader's observation compared to the observation of the other graders. So I would like to know, when robots are doing grading for you, so what standards are you following in this?
Very good question. But first of all, I'd like to maybe correct you. There are not slight differences. I think it's an industry secret or open secret that grading differentiates a lot. Differentiates a lot between different graders on the same diamond. Differentiates a lot on the same grader on the same diamond over different times. So grading, because it's done manually, because it's done by people, is in the end has a certain level of consistency. It's not a very high level of consistency. And of course, everyone tries to increase and improve that consistency through different processes, especially in grading labs, where there's a lot of effort and time that is spent on trying to meet the highest level of consistency. But in the end, we're all human beings. We have our limitations. Sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're not focused. Grading in the end manually is inconsistent, and technology enables it to do a lot more consistently. When we looked and we wanted to decide, going back to your question, what grading standard we wanted to use, we came to the conclusion that we did not want to develop our own grading standard. There are enough grading standards out there in the world, which in any case, I think creates some level of confusion at the consumer level. And we wanted to not expand that confusion. And therefore, we decided to utilize what is today the most widely accepted grading standard, which is the GA. And we see our grading as type of GA compatible. I don't know if you remember, like 20 years ago, when the first home computers came out, they were IBM compatible. So IBM was the only company that had home computers in the beginning, and everyone had an IBM. And then when other companies started coming out, they were IBM compatible. So we see our grading as GA compatible. We utilize the GA terminology, the GA standards, and have basically through our machine learning systems taught our grading technology to learn the GA standard, but to do so in a very, very consistent manner.
Okay, so that's good to know that there is no another standards which industry will have to learn to understand the grading of Serene. They have to just follow which they have been traditionally following, and immediately they can start adopting this technology. So that's a good aspect that you are following the traditional and which has been adopted and acceptable by the industry standards that you are following. Good to know that. Next, the one thing which is bothering me is how would you, as a Serene or as a technology, would establish a trust amongst the retailer when the person who is manufacturing it is only doing the grading and not any third party? Why do we ask for intervention of a third party so that we can establish and build a trust that third party has done an inspection and it's going to be neutral or this thing? So when we say the end consumer, that the person who has manufactured it, he himself has graded it, so do you think it will establish a trust factor?
Okay, so first of all, very, very good question, and I'd like to correct you. The manufacturer has not graded the diamond. Serene has graded the diamond. The fact that the manufacturer is operating the technology does not mean they're grading the diamond. Just to give you a very brief idea how it works, there are different technologies that the manufacturer will utilize in order to create the information about the diamond. That information goes up to the Serene cloud, where we then analyze and grade the diamond based on that data. You asked about trust, creating trust at the retail and consumer level. And I think there are two things that is very important to understand over here. One is that we've put in a lot of time and effort into creating systems that monitor the technology, that prevent any user or operator to influence the results. This is one of the reasons that we started using our technologies nearly 3 years ago in our grading labs in India and in Israel, but we did not yet release them to the market to be used by the manufacturers. We wanted to create a very robust system that is very secure, that is the information integrity is maintained. So we put a lot of effort in the last 2 years in creating such a system that enables us to get that raw data about the diamond, but we do the analyzing and we do the grading, and the report is a Serene grading report. So it's not necessarily graded by the manufacturer, it's graded by technology. That goes to my second point with regards to trust. We've done a lot of research on consumer trust, both ourselves and through third parties. And in the end, today's consumer, especially the younger consumer, has a very high level of trust in technology, a very high level of trust in technology. Serene is a fairly reputed or very reputed company within the diamond trade, especially in the midstream, but they trust the technology. So they are not necessarily trusting Serene as a grading laboratory brand or entity, but as the world's leading technology company. And therefore, they are able to trust the technology rather than a brand that has existed for 200 years, like other brands may create trust.
Well, when you said that the entire data will be saved in the Serene cloud. So again, the second question arises from that, and we have got one question from chat also, that we believe that this technology will not be adopted by the manufacturers, but labs might also adopt this technology and start grading using this technology introduced by Serene. So when you provide a certificate or a grading, will it notify whether this grading was done in the premises of manufacturer or it was done by the lab? Is there something?
Yeah, no, no, it won't, because it is not important. A diamond graded in a Serene lab is at the same level of quality and assurance than it will be graded on a client's premises. I can give an example from today's technologies. We have, for example, with our Galaxy, we have Galaxy service centers that provide scanning services, and there are scanning services that are done by the client with his own technology, with his own systems in-house. There is no difference in the results. There is no difference in the performance. So there is no difference between a diamond graded using our technology that is on site at a client, or in a grading lab, which we basically use the same technology in the grading lab. It's just operated by our personnel. So we do not see that there's a need to state where it was graded, and there is no importance to that, because the grading is consistent no matter where it's graded.
That's great to know. Will this solution be able to cope with the increased grading diamonds, grading demands coming in future? We have seen the bottlenecks in the yesteryears, and because of increased grading demands, which could not be fulfilled. And as you also mentioned, that it used to take 1.5 months to grade, and then putting it on sale and all these things. So in future, as you said, that these millennials and this new generation is more trusting the technology and all, and it might happen that everybody using or everybody in the ecosystem of diamond demands this grading to be done through this technology, or maybe. So will it be able to cope with this increased demand?
Absolutely, yes. And I'll give maybe a very easy example, very simple example. In the last year, we've all had a lot of challenges with the situation due to COVID, that for several months during 2020, the activity went down dramatically. Factories stopped manufacturing, or were manufacturing very much less. And then all of a sudden, in the beginning of this year, increased dramatically, very quickly, and increased production dramatically. That, of course, created very dramatic backlogs within the grading labs. Even today, it still takes over a month to get a diamond graded. Whereas if we look at our technologies that are used for manufacturing diamonds, there's no backlog. The technology is able to go from a high level of production to a very low level. There is no dramatic need to remove personnel. And when it goes up and increases afterwards, the scale up of the use of the technology is also very quick. So there is no need to train people, to recruit now people that need advanced training for many weeks how to grade a diamond. The increase in terms of capacity using technology is very quick, it's very easy. And therefore, I believe that technology is actually much better than the manual process today, in terms of dealing with changes, whether negative or positive, in quantities of diamonds for grading. And you will not see these kinds of situations where there are big backlogs that not only impact the time it takes to grade the diamond, but that has a lot of impact on financing in the industry, goods getting stuck, inability to sell your polish. So it has a lot of very negative impacts, the fact that you have these backlogs that we see from time to time due to the changes in the quantity of goods in the pipeline.
I think this is one of the major benefit we can say, that it will cut short the lead time of grading, and in addition to the prioritization of your goods. So I think this is a very good point, that we can reduce the lead time and the buffer time of grading. That's very nice. David, as far as we know, that all the technologies which gets introduced has some limitations or some area to improvement, we would say. which in turn leads us to improve our technology and reach to new heights. So in this particular technology, do you see any limitations?
Yes, Serene has been developing technology for the industry for the last 30 years, and there's always room to improve, always room to further develop the technology. And any new technology has to start somewhere. So if you look at our previous technologies, for example, for diamond planning, in the beginning, they used to plan only 2-3 carat rough diamonds. They used to plan only round diamonds. Today, you plan every single type of fancy shape, down to even 1 to 2 point rough. So as time has gone by, the scope of what can be planned has increased, and we'll see the same with diamond grading. The technology, of course, has limitations, so it cannot grade all types of diamonds initially. So take, for example, fancy colors, we won't be grading with technology initially. And there are other limitations. For example, polish quality. There is still not an ability to effectively grade polish through technology. But as we know, and I think our loyal clients have seen over the years, that we solve the problems and increase what we can include under the technology solutions and add more and more capabilities as time goes by. So we'll see the same thing with diamond grading. Already we are planning to introduce our second generation of grading technologies. The first generation was what we're using today in our grading labs. But as we introduce e-grading to the diamond supply chain, it will already be our second generation. So there are already a lot of improvements that we have improved over the last few years. And that will continue endlessly as we move forward.
That's for sure. As we know, Serene, that they keep challenging themselves and keep improving the products. And as you said, we can consider this as a first generation, and we can look ahead towards the new ventures and new improvements in the same technology in coming years. Sometimes the changes are external driven also. We may come across few things which are not there in market today. The quality of diamond or a shape of a diamond or a cut of a diamond, maybe we come across a new kind of cut or new kind of shape in a future, and we are sure that will be adopted by Serene. So change is the only constant thing, and I think that's how it goes. Having said that, David, have you planned to penetrate this technology to the level of retailers and consumer? Is it adoptable to that level, or you will be limiting yourself to use it to manufacturer or a midstream level of ecosystem?
No, absolutely. This is, in the end, a lot of the value of our e-grading is for the retailer. We talked in this conversation more about the value to the midstream, but there's a lot of value to the retailer. And already today, we have retail clients using our grading reports in the retail store, using our digital interactive grading reports. So we're already at the retail level. We are ramping up our activities on the retail level throughout the world, whether it is the US, Europe with high-end retailers, and of course, Asia, China. So we're very intensively focusing on the retailer as well, explaining to them and proving to them the value that we can provide them. And it's a combination. It's a combination of working together, both with the retailer as well as with the midstream supply side, in creating a win-win proposition for both sides.
So we may see the penetration at deeper level at retailers in coming years. As we discussed earlier, David, we know that this entire industry is a skill-driven industry, and we have plenty of skilled laborers working around it, and grading is one of the skill. Do you see, I mean, this is a serious concern if we see that, is the diamond grading profession going away with this?
Every time Serene talks about some new technology, we get this question. And of course, it's a very relevant and very important question. But I think we need to look at history. And if we look at the diamond industry, in general and the Indian diamond industry in particular, we can see that our technologies that we have introduced over the last 20 years into the Indian diamond industry not only has replaced or removed jobs, it's added dramatically. Today in India itself, there are over 100,000 people working on Serene's technologies. Whereas if you look at before 10 or 20 years, maybe there were a few thousand people working manually, doing diamond planning and so onwards. So technology changes what people do, but in most cases, it creates opportunities. So rather than, the technology is enabled working in very high-tech, very advanced working environments with high technology, enabling higher skill sets. So I think technology, especially in the midstream, especially in India, has really raised the bar in terms of skill sets, in terms of employment. And I think that in the end, we always need to look at technology from that perspective. Yes, it will change jobs. It will change the types of jobs. But I don't think in the end it removes jobs, because you'll need people that operate the machines. You'll need people to service the machines. You'll need people to continuing the whole process of integrating those machines into the processes in the factory. So there's a lot of jobs that will be created that need a high level of experience and understanding. So I don't see that as a downside or a negative at all.
Yes, of course. I mean, when the new technology comes in, it comes in with its own ecosystem and its own servicing, and all the channels, the supply chain and everything gets developed, and the entire new, the world grids generated around it. That's fantastic. And we hope that this will help us in creating more and more job opportunities, as well as keeping the quality of grading and quality of the business intact. Because as a GJEPC, our motto and main focus is also on getting the right person on the right job, and we have to make it sure that people don't lose jobs and all these things. And at the same time, we have to keep pace with the coming up technologies also. So it's a kind of relief that you have said that it's going to be creating a new jobs and new endeavor for the upcoming this generation. I would like to keep this forum open for the questions and invite it from the audience. Meanwhile, we'll take few questions which we have already received. So this question is whether Serene will be certifying the diamonds.
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned earlier, we will definitely be certifying the diamonds and issuing grading reports. We already do so today through our grading labs. What we'll be seeing towards the end of this year, and of course going into 2022, is systems that start being put on premise at clients, that they are collecting the information. And as I said, we upload the information to the cloud, we analyze it, we grade it, and then we issue the report based on that data. So yes, of course, we issue a grading report. Again, anyone who's interested to see how it looks and what we provide can contact our team in Mumbai or in Surat, and they'll be happy to share with you what we provide. One of the things I think is also very important, and it's more on the retail side, is that we really try and understand what the client needs, the retail client needs, and adopt and adapt what we are doing to their needs, without compromising on quality of grading in any way. So that's also one of the things I think is a little bit different than what we're doing than today's grading labs, that the digital aspect enables us to really create a product that is relevant for the retailer, rather than a generic Serene product that is the same for everyone.
That's great. See, in India, there is a grades like VS, VSS, SI, PK, GH, color. Will this be possible in this technology?
So even though I mentioned that the standard that we have developed the technology is based on a GA standard, because of the way that we have developed the technology based on machine learning, we are able to teach our technology any grading standard. So if we see that there are additional needs to teach the system additional grading standards, that of course is possible. We can collect data teach the system a different grading standard or additional abilities in terms of grading, and then it can grade it according to additional standards as well. At this point in time, as I said, we are following the most commonly accepted standard globally, which is GA, but we do have certain projects that we do specific grading. For example, we announced a year and a half ago that we are adapting our technology to the Tiffany grading standard. But as I said, any grading standard could be taught to our technology.
That's good to know. The next question is a bit tricky and challenging as well, and it's a kind of concern also. When we adopt a new technology, when we are adaptive to new technology as a manufacturer or a retailer, what is the readiness of the consumer in adopting that technology or the standards? That is also most important. So how the consumer are aware about this? So the next question is regarding this only, that GIA has over the year graded trust of consumers, and people know that if GIA has graded it, we can trust them. So what exactly the efforts we are putting as a Serene, so to build the trust that Serene graded diamond can be a brand and people can identify and recognize this as a Serene graded diamond, and will it be acceptable? So what is in that field?
So as I said earlier, one of the main aspects of trust is in the end, it's the technology itself, the ability to grade using technology rather than people. People trust technology. Today's consumer trusts technology. It's part of their daily life and they trust it. And therefore, when you do different surveys at the consumer level, you will find that consumers today, especially in the below 35 years of age, have a very high level of trust in technology and less trust in people. Unfortunately, that's today's world. So trust is a very important part, but people do trust technology, and that's who we are. We are a technology company. Second is we are doing a lot of awareness, a lot of programs that are on the retail side, marketing, I would say very clever marketing. We don't need to necessarily spend $100 million on marketing, but to get to the consumer, to get to the involvement. Just I think a few days ago, I did a live Instagram with one of the European influencers. It's to consumers, so we're working together with the consumer, together with retailers, providing them with the information to provide to the consumer to create that level of trust. So it's a process. It doesn't happen in a day, but you know, Serene didn't become a brand in the midstream overnight. But we had a target, we had a goal, we wanted to create that trust, and today we have that trust in the midstream, and I have no doubt that we'll create that same level of trust at the retail level and eventually at the consumer.
Yes, that's great. And which brings us to next question, which is more relevant to the Surat industry. As you know that Surat is the hub of cutting and polishing of diamond, and we people are, you know, expert in grade, you know, cutting and polishing all sizes of diamond across, you know, the ecosystem. So what sizes this Serene technology can do? Is there any limitation in terms of sizes or something like that?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, technology always has different limitations. In terms of sizes, I think the limitation is not necessary in terms of the technology today. We already do grading of 20 points, 15 points. We have clients doing 15-point goods for Japan. So we do already small sizes. I think the aspect of size is more an aspect of cost than technological capability. And as we have seen with our different technologies, that as we progress with the technology, we're able to reduce dramatically for the smaller and for the cheaper goods, the cost of the technology, the cost of using the technology. Today with our Galaxy technology, we do diamonds of below 5-point rough, which 2 years ago, no one would have dreamed of doing. And the reason that we see these diamonds being scanned today is because it's cost effective to do so. So I think it's more a matter of the technology improving to make it cost effective, and then we'll see smaller and smaller diamonds going through grading technologies as well.
So we have one question from Mr. Vimal who actually would like to know whether Serene will be providing this machine to the factory setup or to retailer setup, or it's just a software which can be installed in computer and small, you know, extension kind of thing. What exactly the infrastructure?
So it's a suite of machines that scan the diamond, and we will be putting these systems in the factories. Less at the retail side. I think it's always much more complicated and more costly to put systems at the retail end. The retailers also want to get the diamonds already pre-graded and not have to do it themselves. So it will be definitely systems. Our technology will be put at the manufacturers or at the polished suppliers, and be able to be utilized by them to create the grading reports. As I said in the beginning, one of the big advantages is that this is going to dramatically reduce the cost of grading, both direct costs of the report itself, which of course can be cheaper. Why? Because Serene does not need to have big fancy offices in Mumbai or New York or Hong Kong. We don't need thousands of graders that in times where there is less demand, it's difficult to manage. So we can reduce dramatically the cost of the report, as well as the indirect costs, as I said, the shipping, the insurance, the cost of money, and so on and so forth. So in the end, grading to the manufacturer will be dramatically reduced in terms of cost.
He has further asked for the cost of this infrastructure, which I would ask Mr. Vimal to please get in touch with Serene team. We will be flashing the contact details at the end of the Q&A session, so you can grab the details of contacting them, and you may tap them directly. Having said that, David, we have few other grading labs which have also announced this AI-based grading. Which brings us to our next question, that what makes Serene differentiate it from these grading labs?
So first of all, Serene is the only technology company that is involved in AI grading. The other companies are not technology companies. They are grading labs like the GA who is talking about using AI grading. They are a gemological grading lab. That is their expertise. We are a technology company. We have been, we are, and we always will be. And therefore, the ongoing development of technology is at our core. So that is one big difference. First, second of all, this is currently today a main focus of what we are doing. Unlike, again, grading labs, who are in any case today, grading diamonds, that's their business. Technology is something that maybe they think can help. We see this as a game changer, a totally different game changer. And of course, we believe we have the most advanced technology out there, and the ability to put this technology in the field. There is a big difference of having technology in a grading lab and utilizing it, and having the grading at source, as we've discussed. That is a huge difference. Serene today is present in all manufacturing geographies, whether it be India or Israel or Belgium or Africa and so onwards. And we have the ability to roll out this technology at the source itself. And that is a huge difference between just having technology and using the lab and being able to actually put this technology on site. Okay.
So as we discussed earlier, David, that we discussed that, and you also agreed to what I said, that the result of grading changes with the perception of person, or the lights, or the position, or as you said, the mood of that particular person or the grader. Should we consider that by this technology, and the same question has been asked by one of our audience, that so should we consider that the stone measured in first clarity machine at some location will have the same result as in another clarity machine at a different location of Serene?
Yes, absolutely. This is what we call repeatability. If you repeat a measurement of a diamond multiple times on the same machine, on different machines at different times, will you get the same result? And we have been working very, very significantly on creating a very, very high level of repeatability. This is at the basis of the technology, being able to create a repeatable and accurate result, whether it be on the same machine if you measure it multiple times, or whether it be on different machines measuring the same diamond. Naturally, technology is not 100%. So there's always borderline diamonds that could be very, very borderline. With technology, you're actually able to identify if a diamond is borderline or not. So there are many advantages of the technology. For those of our listeners who use cut grading systems of ours, they know that diamonds can be very borderline. They'll get an alert that it's borderline. And sometimes if you measure the same diamond, you will sometimes get an excellent cut and then a very good cut because it's exactly on that border. And sometimes it will fall on one side or on the other side. Having said that, that is still dramatically more consistent than any capabilities of human manual grading.
Well, that's good to know. And we have already talked about the grading standards, but we have few questions which is dipping down into that. We all know that you have been adopting the GI standards, but still one of our audience has asked whether it will be covering all the 4 C's.
Yes. So yes, we cover the 4 C's. In fact, we are developing technologies beyond the 4 C's. So for example, not only color is graded by technology, fluorescence is graded by technology. In terms of additional parameters, we are talking about releasing in the near future the ability to grade milkiness as well, which is not a parameter that is graded by the grading labs today, as well as other parameters that may not appear on grading reports, whether it be tinges, whether it be inclusions on the table. So being able to go into many parameters that are used today in the trading of polished diamonds, but don't necessarily appear on grading reports. The technology enables us to get to a very, very much wider range of parameters and provide this information to our clients as part of the grading process. So that is a work in progress that will see more and more parameters being able to be measured and graded by the technologies, and those will be added as we move along.
A small question in the same line, that whether it will be covering the range of grading from FL to VS2, or it will be grading all the range clarity from FL to I3.
Okay, so FL is a very unique category of diamonds, very, very challenging to grade in general, whether it's manually or through technology. So I believe that flawless diamonds, or any diamond that is expected to be flawless, will need to be submitted to a lab initially. But again, there are certain categories of diamonds, as I said, for example, whether it is colored diamonds, whether it is flawless, and some other parameters that still will need initially manual intervention. But as we move forward and as the technology develops, that will disappear, with the objective having the grading technology to be able to grade all types of diamonds, all categories, sizes, shapes, and so on and so forth.
That's great. We have a next question, if I've understood it right. So if we have a diamond and if we have a certificate of it, which is being graded by the Serene technology, so how can we match those two things? I mean, how can we make sure that this certificate is belonging to this particular diamond only?
Yeah. So today, typically, that is done through an inscription on the girdle of the diamond. Most grading labs will inscribe the report number on the girdle of the diamond. And that is an option. That's an option to do that. Having said that, we believe that there are much more advanced and better solutions. And one of the solutions that we have been working on and have already started testing is creating the ability to fingerprint a diamond. So create a fingerprint of the polished diamond, and then connect that fingerprint to the grading report or to the traceability report or whatever information about that diamond. And then having a very simple and small and cheap device that you're able to read that fingerprint. So that's one of the areas that we've been working on over the last year or two. And we believe that that is a much more superior solution than inscriptions, because an inscription can be removed. You can inscribe the same inscription on multiple diamonds. So there are disadvantages of inscription. I think that initially inscriptions will continue to be something that is used widely still, but over time, I think the ability to digitize the fingerprint of a diamond and then read that digital fingerprint will become the more dominant way of connecting between the diamond and the information about the diamond.
Great. So again, we have a tricky question coming to you, David. What % of Serene grading would be matching with GIA grading? So you are competing with the best in the industry. So you got encountering this kind of questions. So I would like you to answer this.
Great, no problem. I'll be happy to answer. So before I give an answer on that, it's important to understand that due to the fact that grading is not consistent, even when done by what is up until today being the best in manual grading, which is the GA, there is still an inconsistency. Okay, so different diamonds or the same diamond may be graded differently when graded multiple times or over a period of time. So it's a little bit of a moving target all the time. What is the grade? If it's once graded G and another time graded H, what is the grade? How do you compare it? So our objective is to get to a high percentage or as high percentage as possible compatibility to GA. We haven't published yet our numbers, but we will do so most likely in the future. The main challenge is that, as I said, it's a little bit of a moving target. The consistency of any grading lab changes slightly, changes due to the personnel, changes, for example, in times like now when there is a rapid ramp up in terms of quantities, quality is sometimes impacted. In the end, our main objective is to be as consistent as possible so that every time we grade a diamond, it's the same grade. And this is much, much more consistent than manual grading. And second is to be compatible to GA. Does that mean 100%? No, it doesn't mean 100%. But in the end, GA is not 100% compatible to itself because, as I said, of the inconsistencies due to the human factor in grading. So the idea is to be as close as possible. But I don't think that is actually really one of the main criteria that is important when you talk about automated AI-based grading, but it is an important parameter, and therefore we are continuously striving to be as close as possible to GA, even though, as I said, it's not a fixed target.
That's wonderful, David. As we all know that light plays a vital role in grading system and all these things. So will your report be bearing light parameters? Will it be considering that?
So it's an option. We have a technology that we introduced several years ago, light performance, that is an option. I think one of the things that we offer that many of the grading labs do not offer is it's a one-stop shop for your polished diamond. You want to do 4Cs grading, you can do 4Cs grading. You want light performance, light performance. You want traceability, traceability. You want imaging of the polished diamond. We can do everything under the roof of the technology, combine that into a single report that again reduces costs, it reduces time, it provides us a uniform report that provides all the different information. So it's something that in the end, based on what the customer wants, we can provide with different aspects of information. But it's not mandatory. It's not that you have to have light performance or yes, or you can decide. You want to include it, you don't want to include it, it's up to you.
Okay, so you are given that freedom and liberty to whether include or not include it.
Yes,
that's great. This pretty much brings us to wait a minute, we have one more question. I think we have answered this. If it is capable to grade 4C, yes, it is capable of all shapes of diamond. I guess yes. It's
so as I said, initially, again, not all shapes are covered. Initially, it will be as we gather more and more data and teach the system more and more, we will gather different shapes, different categories. So there are limitations initially in types of shapes, but as I said, that's not necessarily a very challenging problem to resolve. It's just a matter of collecting data and teaching the system how to grade different shapes or different things that we have not yet encountered.
Okay, so we have one audience asking us that when can we start this technology using in-house?
Great. So actually, we are already testing some of the technologies in-house at some of our clients. Later this year, we will start a pilot combining all the different technologies as a solution, and actually starting to work with a number of pilot programs, which will be starting in the upcoming few months, I would say towards the end of the year, maybe a little bit before or after Diwali. And as we go into 2022, we will be expanding that group of clients to include more and more clients. So basically a couple of months, and we're going to be starting these activities. On the ground in India, we're already undergoing our training of our internal staff in India, whether it's the technical teams, the sales teams, the demo teams, to be able to compare between the grading and ensure that our quality is at the expectation of our clients, and so on and so forth. So we're well underway in terms of getting our operational activities prepared, and as I said, sometimes towards Diwali.
That's great. So we hope that you will be celebrating Diwali with us next time. And one question I have, David. So have you evaluated the time to set up this infrastructure or technology in-house? How much time it will take? It will take days or hours or months? I mean, if somebody orders you and you have to establish it in-house.
So the setup is fairly simple. Of course, we don't yet have, we've set up a number of sites that we are, as I said, doing the testing at the moment, but we don't have, you know, the data of how long it takes because we have with our technologies. But in the end, it's not rocket science. I mean, we set up a lot more advanced technologies in terms of the complexity of setting them up. Whether it's a Galaxy system takes a day or two to get it set up, and the customer is ready to go. So it's not a long process. I think the training is more relevant in terms of the time, but it's not a long process at all. Once we start, anyone that wants to start utilizing technologies will be able to do so very quickly.
Well, that's a positive sign. That pretty much brings us to the end of this session, and I would request Malcolm to please, if you can flash the contact details of Serene, and we will wait if meanwhile if we get another questions. So let the people note down the details of contact.
I think you need to put it into high quality, as you can't see it.
Yeah. I think there is some challenge with, there is some challenge with internet connectivity. I have asked it for sharing it from my thing. Meanwhile, if your team can please share it. Romy has shared one email ID. I'll share it with all the audience.
So you can basically contact either Ms. Benita or Ben. Benita is, of course, most of you know her, our VP sales in India, and Ben Finkelstein, to contact them for more details, and we'll be happy to provide any any answers to questions that we didn't manage to get to in the webinar.
Well, we have got one. Romy, can you please write whose number is this? Can you please give me the name of the person whose number is this? Okay, meanwhile, we have a question which is very interesting. So, using Serene technology, can we assess the diamond quality in studded jewelry? I mean, studded diamond, can we assess it?
No, not yet, but we need to have something else to work on. But at this point in time, our technologies are only for loose diamonds and not for mounted or jewelry that has already been embedded.
Great. So this pretty much brings us to the end of the session, and I've shared the contact details. I'll also circulate the photo which you shared with us. I'll circulate that to the audience through email so that they can get in touch with you if they want to, and we'll be also sharing any of your material if you want us to share it with the audience. So I would request Malcolm to please conclude the session with vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rajatji. We would like to thank Mr. Dinesh Navadia, Regional Chairman, GJEPC, for making it convenient with his presence in the webinar, as well as Mr. Sabyasachi, Executive Director, GJEPC. We would also like to thank Mr. David for the detailed explanation on the subject. We are sure this was quite an enlightening experience for all of us. Further, we would like to specially thank Ms. Romy, Mr. Ankur, and the total team at Serene for their prompt and complete cooperation that we have been receiving in the last 1 or 2 months. Lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Rajat Wani, Assistant Director of GJEPC Gujarat region, for his complete support that has been in conducting this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, David. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you,
time.
everyone. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.